Are we looking for a handshake here?
Yeah, exactly that. And partaking of sheep. That's too cheap. Okay?
I see you rhymed. Partaking of sheep, that's too cheap.
Opiyo, Wandayi.
Joining Susan Opiyo.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
So, Musumwa, is it surprising to you that the country is broke?
It is true we are broke. We aren't just broke. There's a difference between being broke and nearing bankruptcy. I'm afraid where we are as a country, we could as well be approaching this level of bankruptcy. You know, Jeff and Nick, a country is comparable to a going concern.
Yes.
Yes? And any time a going concern defaults or fails to pay its workers, it's approaching a state of bankruptcy. Therefore, I'm afraid that unless something drastic happens, unless some concrete action is taken, and very, very urgently, this country could easily slip into unknown territory.
I was watching TV earlier on, and the president had said he's not intending to borrow money for recurrent expenditure. Is that the right approach? Because, also recurrent expenditure will just keep on sinking ourselves into a big dark hole.
It is not our duty to help those who are in power to govern. Yeah, it is their work to govern. And if they can't, of course, they ship out. You have got to deal with recurrent expenditure because those are critical expenditures. And in fact, in many cases, they're the first charge on the exchequer in any budgetary system. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's no way you're going to escape from dealing with the recurrent expenditure. I know they are thinking of retrenchment, massive retrenchment, which we are opposed to. And why? We are opposed to massive retrenchment because it's going to target those very poor, low-paid workers. And how can they dare retrench those poor workers while continuing to employ people who we don't need?
I'm talking about the CSS.
The CSS. They are creating offices for their wives and husbands, for their daughters, their sons. They are doing all sorts of things. They are buying new limousines, a new fleet of limousines. And yet we have got more than enough vehicles in government that they inherited from the Uhuru regime. So it's wastefulness, galore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of the Uhuru regime, you heard the deputy president saying, blaming, it's all about blame game, saying the handshake
brothers. In fact, they said the handshake brothers.
Yes.
First and foremost to Jeff and Nick, you know very clearly that there was nothing like a handshake regime for government in this country. The government we had from 2017 up to 2022, August, was a Jubilee Government, headed by none other than Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Fine gentleman, if you ask me. And deputized by none other than William Samoei Ruto. For the entire time of that government, those two gentlemen were in charge. And the government policy is generated, is consummated in cabinet meetings. I am aware, and if anybody is disputing this, they can bring evidence. I'm aware that William Samoei Ruto attended all cabinet meetings for the entire period of that government, up to the very last one. Okay? There's no evidence whatsoever that Raila Odinga ever joined that government or ever attended any of those cabinet meetings. There's also no evidence that Raila Odinga ever nominated anybody to be in that government as a cabinet secretary or whatever other position. And therefore, to continue blaming Raila and Uhuru for your current failures is to think that is to take Kenyans for fools. So Kenyans are not that foolish, my friends. Yes, and therefore this regime must deal with the issues that confronts them. Yes, those issues have to be dealt with squarely.
Yeah.
Yes, there can be no backpassing.
Kenya Kwanza keeps saying, give us time. Give us time. We've only been in office 7 months. Shouldn't we give them time?
How much more time if you ask them? They'll never tell you. Initially they said, immediately the Biblia imeenda chini namna hii, bei itashuka. They said that. Immediately the swearing in is finished. Life will be better for Kenyans. Did you see that? You didn't see. They said 100 days. 100 days, long gone. Say 3 months. Now it is 6 months. And it's going. Okay? Very soon shall be a year plus. And therefore, there is really no hope unless we just want to resign to fate as a country. But the issues that confront this country currently, which is near financial crunch, have to be dealt with. And there's no other person who can deal with it other than the executive, headed by the person who is occupying the office of the president and sitting in State House.
If you're in his position, what are the first things you would do?
You know, there are no quick wins, but what you do logically is to cut on wastefulness. We must demonstrate, because that really sends very strong signals to everybody else. Cut on wastefulness. Reduce. Live within your means. Reduce all these unnecessary expenditures. Okay? Secondly, approach the lenders, be they local or international, especially international lenders, and try to schedule these debts. It's not no brainer really. Schedule the debts and get some breathing space.
But you know, we've been rescheduling debts ever since as a child.
We have since independence.
Since independence. How long can we keep rescheduling debts? And we know that our debts are in dollars, so if the dollar, which has gone up from the time they said that, signed that those agreements to now, there's a significant increase in the payment because the dollars have to be paid X amount at a certain point. So when it's turned into Kenya shillings before it's changed, then it takes a big chunk of our taxes.
Deal with corruption. You know, corruption is creeping back.
How so?
Big style. Really, you've seen these guys trying to import what do you call it, tractors and farm machinery, very heavy farm machinery from Belarus.
Belarus,
a country which is almost, of course, sanctioned by the modern world. You know that, okay? Under very opaque arrangements. For sure, nobody knows how the decision was arrived at, who was involved, what was the rationale, really. So nobody knows. You heard them talking about now growing maize in Zambia. It's all about finding means of getting money. They talk about importing fertilizer. That fertilizer, they say they import it and it's going to be sold to farmers at 3,000 shillings. You go out there in the countryside, I'm sure you guys go out there often. It's not there. Okay? So nothing really is working. That is our concern, really. So it's in our interest, even as we sit in the minority side, having been robbed of our majority position. No. It is also in our interest that the country runs properly. Because if the country runs properly and everything seems to be fine, everybody else is happy. You cannot have a country which is basically being choked by what you call debts and also mismanagement. And if you add on to it matter of corruption, then we are dead.
And what's the opposition doing about it?
Not only that, I mean, there was corruption during the last administration and the one before that, and the one before that. So why do you say, I mean, why is it corruption the biggest issue right now? I mean,
well, the fact that it was there previously doesn't mean it is a good thing. Now, yes, we must call a spade a spade. Yes, if corruption is bad, it's bad. Whether it's under Uhuru, or whether it's under Ruto, or under Raila, or under Wandayi. Yeah.
Are you saying you want to be president one day?
Oh, not now. Don't go there.
So what's stopping us from fighting corruption? Because the people in charge are not doing anything, like you said. Like I think yesterday I saw that we have not found maize. Yet 3 months ago, there's been that the maize has come from Brazil. It's in the high seas. We didn't get much because other countries are clamoring for it. Now, yesterday they say there's no maize. I'm like, I mean, like as an intelligent person that I am, I can see we are being taken for a ride.
First and foremost, you must protect your farmers. If only to motivate them to grow more.
Yes.
It's cheaper, of course, to grow maize locally than to continue importing it, if you look at it critically. Okay? Because they control most of the variables locally. But can you imagine that when this regime came into power, few months thereafter, it came up with this crazy idea of importing GMO maize. Okay? When they were saying so, farmers were stuck with maize in their granaries or whatever it is, in their stores, in the farms. Okay? And the farmers were just about to start harvesting maize in the grain basket regions of this country, especially Rift Valley and Western Kenya. But what was more curious is not just the idea of importing the GMO maize, is that even as the pronouncement was being made, there's evidence that maize had docked. The ship had docked in the Mombasa port, carrying tons and tons of maize. So it tells you, of course, that this was a conspiracy. Even if there was a shortage or deficit, but this was a conspiracy. That some people were already setting themselves, prepare themselves to make a kill out of a very, very desperate situation. So, and therefore, I think we just need an honest conversation as a country. And the biggest problem, because you asked me about this issue of corruption, the biggest problem we have in this country and what is fueling corruption, I think, is the over-commercialization of politics. Politics has become more and more commercialized.
Who's to blame for that?
Yeah, because it takes two to tango.
Well,
I mean, politicians sell us the dream, then fail to deliver, then they keep promising tomorrow, then when they're up there.
the kind of stories we hear, Nick and Jeff, about how much money changes hands in the elections, including after the elections, just before the announcement of the results, is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
There's no evidence to table.
And on your side?
Well, I'm talking about the side that has captured power.
No,
That's what I know.
But now you see, you're accusing them. They can't. hawezi kujitetea. You only say your side. There's no cash that flows.
Yeah. So this issue of commercializing politics is dangerous. It has to be checked if we are to be because any time when somebody captures power, he will first of all focus on trying to recoup the investment,
what they spent.
What they spent, yes, in these elections, and try to again build another war chest for the next elections.
Are you building yours because the next election?
In a small way, I have to.
Why a small way, not a big way?
Because in my election is easier, it's cheaper. If I'm to run for MP,
Yes.
Yeah, I've done enough work for my people. Yeah, I don't need a lot of money to buy anybody.
Okay, are people in your area, farming and doing all these things that they can do in a mini large scale so that they empower themselves?
Well, you see, my people are essentially subsistence farmers. Okay, and there's never been a problem of, well, people of course lack, it's just like in a part of the country. Yes, but we never had to ask for relief food. At least they're able to take care of themselves a larger part of the year. Okay, and I encourage them to invest in their small ways in the farming ventures, and also divest into other ventures as well. Okay, so I think what they need is an enabling environment and a supportive system. Okay, that if they grow their food in a subsistence manner, they do, and they happen to get some surplus, they're able to get a market for that surplus food. Okay, they're able to have facilities to preserve the food, and so on and so forth. So that they take care of themselves. What this country needs is a conducive environment to be created for the people. Yes, that environment cannot be created.
Who will create the environment?
It should be created by the government. But as we speak, the government itself, which is national government, is strangulating the county governments. Under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, a lot of functions were transferred to the counties. A lot of functions were transferred to the counties.
Okay.
And most of those functions are functions that are key to the livelihood of the people. Be it agriculture, be it health, be it rural access roads, be it environment, and so on and so forth. You can continue and continue. But what are we seeing? Can you imagine that in this financial year, 2022-2023, which is about to end, just about 2 months to the end, the county governments were to get as the equitable share of the national revenues, Kenya shillings 370 billion. As we speak, Jeff, only 141 billion shillings has been remitted. 141 out of 370 billion. And yet you expect these county governments to provide services to the people, majority of whom are living in the countryside. You expect them to pay salaries to their workers to help them meet their objectives. It is impossible. And therefore, the devolved system is collapsing.
But the government insists it was the handshake administration that destroyed all of this. That's made them broke.
I've said time and again that once you take power, regardless of how you took it, deal with the issues. Don't start backpassing. Deal with the issues. Tell us what you are doing to address the situation. In any case, for the entire 10 years that Uhuru was in power, You and I lived here in this country. We never faced similar situation. I'm sure you know. What was we doing that these guys can't do? To be able to address this issue, at least there are remittances to the counties. Those days, there are even millionaires who are created in the counties. We are talking about new centers of power and wealth. In the counties, there was some visible change in the countryside as a result of disbursements to counties. Okay, there was never a day that workers ever failed to get the salaries on time. At least public servants. You see, and here we are, problem after problem.
Yeah. At the same time, your party leader does not recognize the president as the president.
Well, that is his democratic right. It's also his constitutional right, the right of thought. Think at Article what? I need to check. Yes, you have a right to say that I don't recognize you.
Do you recognize the president?
Personally?
Yes.
Recognize us. What do you mean recognizing?
Do you recognize?
Let me look for the meaning of recognize. just hold on.
You know, you are confusing two things here.
No.
Do you acknowledge that William Samoei
legality and legitimacy. Legality and legitimacy. So legally, William Ruto has been sworn in as the president.
Okay.
Legally and constitutionally.
But
that doesn't confer to him legitimacy.
What do you mean?
In the eyes of other people, including me and my party leader, for instance. So I'm just being real, you know.
You're going with the flow, you're being real.
I'm being real. I remember, Nick, I'm the leader of the coalition.
Oh, you have to watch what you say, or he'll do that thing. the whipping, loading. Okay, let's talk about Mandamano.
Yes.
Mandamano, and people were rallied up and they said we must fight for the price of food to go down and subsidies and all that. Today's paper has a team of 7 people and they said the only thing we're going to talk about is IEBC. What else? Is there anything else?
With the 7 aside.
Yes. Demand opening election servers, reinstate Cherera 4 and bring back subsidy program. Surely.
I was involved and I was able to get the views of the people in those barazas. And they are very peaceful, you know, all over the country. Because the police didn't disrupt them. They are very, very peaceful. I was also a participant in the mass action. Okay? The 3 episodes. The one on 20th, 27th, I think, and 30th, if I'm not wrong. Yes. And therefore, I'm quite conversant with the viewpoints of the ordinary Mwananchi. At least the ones with whom we interacted in all these engagements. And therefore, the issues that were framed as Azimio, they're about 3 or 4. You know them, no need for laboring. Okay? Are issues that have come from the people. And top of which is the matter of cost of living. And we have said that as a matter of fact, don't even negotiate the matter of cost of living, even though it's one of our conditions, one of our items on the agenda. It's a question of the government in power, of the regime in power, taking concrete steps to deal with it. Okay? And they have said we want to see action on that front before the talks begin. So we haven't moved from the table. Okay?
Yeah.
Of course, there's the issues, you know. I want to belabor the IEBC and so on and so forth.
And you're insisting on the server being opened?
The server has to be opened.
Huh?
The server has to be opened, if only to put to rest this matter. And it will be helpful, even to the other side. If indeed it's true, they won. If the one they're claiming, open the server, let the evidence be publicized, and we say, Kumbe, you won. Despite our very strong reservations.
But you know,
let's shake hands and move on. But in the event we find that the server has got evidence to the effect that they didn't win, you know, obviously, the implications.
You said a moment ago, let's shake hands. Are we looking and move on? Are we looking for a handshake here?
We shake hands every day. These guys are shouting about handshakes. We shake their hands every day in Parliament. You see? Every day. Yeah, we can't live as a country without shaking hands. Yeah. Whichever way you look at it, there'll be some kind of handshake. There has to be. Even these pronouncements on Sunday. The Sunday the 2nd. Yes. Yeah. That was a total handshake. Ask me. Do you know what happened before the statements were made? The 2 statements were made. you think it's a coincidence?
What are you saying?
Yeah, exactly that. Do you think it's a coincidence that William Ruto made a statement at say 5:36? I think it's for 5:36.
5:30.
And
then
Raila Odinga made another statement around 8:30 p.m.
2 hours later.
That's later. Not a coincidence. There was engagement, prior engagement between the two formations. Yeah, which you and I may not be privy to.
You might be privy to. I think you are privy to.
And that therefore basically means that the handshake has been there, has been there. You know, that's what I know the problem we have with the Kenya Kwanza. There's that headline faction led by Mr. Gachagua, who think that any kind of engagement between the two formations is going to displace them in the power matrix. But that's being selfish. Yeah, this country is much bigger than any one of us. If it takes you to be displaced for the country to move forward, so be it. Doesn't matter. Not the first one. No, it's going to be the last one. Okay.
But Azimio has its own hardliners as well. Your side has some hardliners, including yourself.
You can never lack such people in political formations. I'm not sure if I'm one of the headliners. I'm not very sure. The media continues to characterize me as a headliner. Yeah, and I've got a
and you're in the media right now, and we can say you are a headliner.
I would have serious issue with that. You see, I'm a very reasonable human being. Yeah.
That's why they put you as minority leader.
Yeah. It's not easy to lead more than 150 members of parliament have been elected in their own right. It's not easy. Yeah? So I think I want to be removed from that category. I plead with you, the media. Please pass my message to the rest of your colleagues.
We shall do so. Now, there's one thing that a lot of people are complaining about, okay? There's joblessness amongst the youth, and of course we're making it hard for people to invest in the country. I've got too much bureaucracy when it comes to setting up licensing and all of that that's chasing away investors. Because if investors come, naturally, the youth should be able to get some opportunities here and there. As the opposition and the leader of the minority coalition, and as a hardliner, what have you done to change the lives of the youth?
You know, Nick, you'll agree with me that once you are not in a position to wield the instruments of power, the very little you can do apart from offering suggestions, of course, and of course criticisms, constructive criticisms.
Have you offered any suggestions?
We continue to do so. Even yesterday, I issued a very comprehensive statement. Yes, on the state of the economy and the financial situation we are facing in the country, and possible way forward. Okay, and it's common knowledge really. So I think it would be unfair to task us as a minority coalition or opposition, if you want, with the mandate of trying to solve Kenyan problems. No.
But isn't that why we elect you?
That's why governments are in power.
You didn't win, but since you got some of our votes, you do for the ones who voted for you.
Yes.
Which means pushing an agenda there that makes sense. Because you can't say we can't do it, so we wait for another 5 years.
No, in our respective positions as members of parliament, you know, obviously we have got clear mandate for oversight. We don't just oversight the executive, we oversight the entire government really, including the judiciary here, and even the legislature. That's why we have got a public accounts committee that looks at the books of accounts for every other government agency, including parliament. I was privileged to be a chairman for 5 years, the last parliament. So I know. So we do oversight. Of course, we also legislate, Nick. Yes, legislation is part of problem solving.
Yes, but is it going at the pace that it should? Because we were here the other day with someone who said some of these things take like 3, 4, 5 years. And you see now, for you to get to 5 years conveniently, you can tell us now, I've started, give me another 5-year term.
Yes, and of course we do representation of our people. That's why our voice is very critical. Yes, the people out there depend on us to voice their concerns. You may never understand or appreciate this, but this is very, very important role we play. Yes, voicing the concerns of the voiceless. With the voiceless, who are the majority in the countryside.
But let's face it, Mandamano didn't achieve anything.
I am not sure how you can rush to such a conclusion.
What happens to people whose profit
Mandamano is not an activity. It's not an event. It's a process. We're talking about mass action. And Mandamano is just part of the mass action.
The economy ground to almost a standstill, Mheshimiwa, you know that.
Because of Mandamano.
People's properties were destroyed.
Well, you know, every action has got effect. Okay? I can't deny that it caused some discomfort to some people. But what was the cause of the discomfort? It's because of the brutal reaction by the police to the peaceful Mandamanos.
Yeah, but at the end...
You would think we are in a war zone in our own country. Something which was started by the police. A police service which we thought we were reforming when we passed the 2010 Constitution. Okay?
But there's also a lot of people who are taking advantage of the masses to rob others. So I don't know if it's the police who are trying to contain those ones or to contain Mandamano. But how comes also the other principles of Maazimio, their areas don't take part in a national? How comes it's a national Mandamano if it's only a few people from Kibera?
Whose area is Kibera and Pipeline? That's Kenya.
No.
Yes, and
Kalonzo Musyoka's
area. Let's face it.
Yeah, it's Baba. It's a Luo population.
No.
Sumu, Maseno is also Baba. I was at Maseno the other day, and that building that was pelted with stones, that supermarket that provides services and you know.
Sairam.
Yes. All the windows are broken. Now imagine if you do that every Monday and Thursday. The supermarkets that were looted, Mwindi Mosi supermarket, also looted. What happens to him?
You know,
does Baba call and say, Pole,
mbona useme yule ambaye ametuma polisi kuleta disruption?
Polisi wana pesa.
Kwa nini wanaita fujo? Kwa peaceful maandamano. Kwa nini polisi wanaita fujo? Na mwenye anawatuma polisi.
Does Baba call and console these people and say, sorry, my people passed away?
So Baba went even to Bagati and Kenyatta stores to console those who were injured by the police.
But now the businesses that were affected, does Baba call them aside? Opiyo, stop avoiding the question.
Baba went even further and contributed to the construction of the demolished buildings in Kibera.
But those ones even make and construct 10,000 every day. How pesa balance?
But a very heavy balance.
I'm talking about the supermarkets that were looted. How comes they're avoiding that story?
And the lives destroyed.
Hii tabia ya characterize Mandamano as violent is not right. I think we must call it what it is. These are peaceful protests which eventually turn violent after the police disrupt them.
We never stop politicking. That's our problem as Kenyans. You know, 24/7, 365, 5
years.
Yeah, but you see, there's also politicking which is helpful. Yeah, because
ours is not.
Unless we, because you know this country has come a long way. So the first thing that needs to be done is to come to the table in good faith, in a spirit of reconciliation, in a spirit of give and take, and have a conversation as a country. Every time we've done that, we've never gone wrong. But as things stand now, if you want to tell me that these guys can continue to run the country on their own, the man they are doing it, with us resisting, no, it won't happen.
You know, the president said everything will be done according to the constitution
and through parliament.
We have had that before. Recently, they said anza hii safari ya kuunda IEBC. Wakaenda bungeni wakabadilisha the Elections Act. Wakakarabati ile panel ya kuchagua commissioners IEBC. I have to try my Kiswahili.
Seriously, that.
See, they said the train has left the station. Yes. That they are going ahead. What made them have a change of heart? Because now they are brought to the table. The idea of looking at the panel, the IEBC, is in their law that is already in place, a legal framework that should allow them to continue with the process. But we warned them that this one will be the stroke that will break the camel's back. That you cannot there constitute an electoral body that will be charged with the responsibility of supervising elections in this country single-handedly. That will not be an IBC for Kenya. It will be an IBC for yourselves. And you know the implications. Yeah. Luckily, they have seen the sense. Despite the legal framework being in place, nobody has amended that law.
Yeah.
So this idea of what we shall really work within the constitution, the law, is hubris. Yes.
Hubris.
Situations can force you to think outside the box in the manner that it has forced them to think outside the box with regard to the issue of constituting the IBC.
How is the Mwananchi benefiting at this time? Because you'll call for Mandamano if it didn't go your way, and the life of the Mwananchi is still the same as it was before Mandamano started.
We have gone to the heart of what concerns the people, those Mwananchi unaongea juu yao.
Yes.
Which is the cost of living. Mwananchi wa kawaida haja yake ni atapata chakula namna gani? Yeah. Mtoto yake ataenda shule namna gani?
Yeah.
Bila kufukuzwa. Okay?
Yeah.
Hiyo ndio jambo la maana kwake. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, and that's what we are talking about. That before even these discussions on IBC and what have you, please, let's address this issue of cost of living. Yeah. You remove subsidies in everything, from everything, in food, in water, including school fees. They threatened even to increase school fees for university students.
But university
we shouted.
fees have stayed the same since 1989. Is there anything else in this country?
They have made a pronouncement, if you are behind news, Nick. Yes, the fees is increasing from 70,000 shillings to 49,000 shillings in the next intake of universities. They wanted to implement it actually immediately. But we stopped, we made a lot of noise and they retreated. So it tells you that unless we make this noise, this thing you call noise, things can go terribly wrong in this country. And therefore we must also appreciate our role as Opiyo, as minority coalition, as the movement for the defense of democracy, because we must defend that democracy. Yes, for the good of our people. MDD.
But some of your members are crossing over, by the way. You know that, huh? They're crossing over very fast.
To what? To where?
To Kenya Kwanza.
Our members?
Yes. They're being wooed.
Members of parliament?
Yes.
Well, that's not new. We saw it in the early 90s.
Oh, so you're not worried
People being bought.
Yes.
To cross over. But the interesting thing is, as we stay with these guys in parliament, we are with them every day. Once they are lured to cross over, they find that there's something there. Yes, for them. They start wondering, did I make a right choice or not?
It's bad.
We see it's terrible.
It's lit.
It's terrible. You cannot transform. You're basically auctioning human beings like goats in a market.
If Baba Shalim invited you down the road here on the left to State House right now,
would you go?
If you called me, Wandayi, namna gani bana?
My friend.
My friend.
Kuna issue hapa nataka tujadiliane juu yake. Uko wapi? Nitauliza uko wapi? Akiniambia niko hapa, mimi nitaingia tu na kuongea naye alafu natoka.
Mbona wewe na confidence? Ama unajua baba pia sasa wewe ndio utakuwa kwa news next week. Opiyo Wandayi tumembasa sana.
But what I can assure you is that my meeting with him or anybody else cannot sway me. Cannot sway me.
Ama you'll say no pictures, please.
To depart from the principles that we hold very dear as a social democratic movement.
Yes.
Yes. We are for the people. We are the only movement that can really address the people issues in this country. And I think we should support us, the media. But let me say this to my fellow Kenyans. As a country, we are known for our resilience. We have gone through turbulence in the past, but we have always emerged stronger as a people. So this situation that we are facing is not exceptional. In the fullness of time, if we can gather the courage to reason together, we shall be able to overcome. So let's not lose hope. But I want to assure you also, the people, that we in the progressive movement, the Ugunja One Kenya Coalition Party, the movement for the defense of democracy, we are going to stand by you. We are not going to forsake you. Thank you very much.